Let's go back to the night of April 14th, 1912. The RMS Titanic strikes an iceberg. What happened in those next few hours wasn't just a tragedy. It was a terrifying, real-world experiment, one that showed how your social class could literally be the difference between life and death. And believe it or not, it perfectly illustrates a powerful force that shapes all of our lives, often in ways we don't even see. Just look at these numbers. They're absolutely stark. If you were a first-class passenger, you had a 62% chance of survival. But if you were stuck down in third class, that number plummets to just 24%. Your ticket didn't just get you a different room. It got you a drastically different shot at seeing the next sunrise. This isn't just some historical fact. This is the very heart of what we're talking about today. So what we saw on that ship has a name. Sociologists call it social stratification. It's basically a system that every society has for ranking people into different layers, or strata. You can kind of think of it like a layered cake. Each layer gets a different amount of the good stuff, wealth, power, and all the prestige that comes with it. And the key thing to remember is it's not random. It's a structured system. So how does this system actually work? Is it just random? Well, no. Sociologists have figured out there are 4 key principles that explain why this kind of ranking is a built-in feature of pretty much every society. Let's break those down. First off, and this is so important, stratification is a feature of the society, not of individuals. It's the game board itself, not the players. Second, it's sticky. It tends to persist across generations. Where your family sits on the ladder is a pretty good predictor of where you'll be. Third, it's universal. Every single society has some form of it, even though it looks really different from one place to another. And finally, it's not just about who has what, it's also about beliefs. It's held up by ideas that try to justify why the unequal setup is fair or even natural. Okay. So when societies build these hierarchies, they generally follow 2 main blueprints. You've got caste systems and you've got class systems. And understanding the difference between them is really key to seeing how our own world works. On one side, you have closed systems, like a traditional caste system. In this model, your status is what we call ascribed. That means it's assigned to you at birth, and that's it. Your story is written for you, there's no moving up. But on the other side, you've got open systems, like the class system we're more familiar with. Here, status is supposed to be achieved through your own hard work and talents. You can move up the ladder. It's that classic pull yourself up by your bootstraps idea. Now that sounds great, doesn't it? A pure meritocracy, where everyone gets what they deserve based on talent and effort. But is that really the world we live in? How open are these so-called open systems really? This quote just hits the nail on the head. We love the idea that we live in a meritocracy, but the reality is way more complicated. That analogy of a race is perfect. It's not just about how fast you can run, it's about your starting position. And for a lot of people, that starting line is something they inherit, giving them a huge head start before the race even begins. So let's bring this out of the world of theory and into our world, right now. How is all of this playing out today? Well, the data shows a pretty startling trend, especially when we look at the chances of actually getting ahead in life. I want you to think about this. For children born back in the 1940s, the dream of doing better than your parents was basically a reality. You had a 90% chance of earning more than they did. 90%. It was an era of incredible, widespread opportunity. And then there's this. For kids born in the 1980s, that number gets slashed nearly in half. It becomes a coin flip, a 50-50 shot. Suddenly, that foundational promise of our open system, that if you work hard, your kids will have a better life, well, it's statistically fading. And while some of that mobility data comes from the US, this trend of a widening gap is happening all over. Just take a look at Canada, where income inequality recently hit the highest level it's ever been since they started collecting data in 1999. So this isn't a problem of the past. It's a defining issue of our time. And this chart, wow, it really shows you why this is happening. It's all about wealth, what you own, not just what you earn in a paycheck. In Canada, the top 20% of families hold a staggering 80% of all the wealth. 80! Meanwhile, the entire bottom half of the population holds just 5%. That isn't just a gap, it's a chasm. So this all brings us to the big picture. If this is where we are right now, where in the world are we heading? The forces that are shaping our world today are raising some fundamental questions about what inequality is going to look like tomorrow. More than 2,000 years ago, the philosopher Plato made this incredibly sharp observation. What he's getting at is the power of ideology, the beliefs we hold that make a system seem right or just. For any system of inequality to last, people have to believe it's fair, or at least that it's necessary. These beliefs are like the glue holding the whole hierarchy together. And today, huge new forces are testing those old beliefs. Will technology like AI create opportunity for everyone, or will it just create a new digital divide? Will the costs of climate change be shared fairly, or will they fall hardest on the world's most vulnerable? Is education still the great equalizer, or is it becoming a way to lock in privilege? And what about the housing crisis? These are the massive questions that are going to define the next chapter of social stratification. But in the end, the future isn't set in stone. The trends we see today, the growing gaps, the fading mobility, they aren't inevitable. They're the result of choices. And the tools of tomorrow, everything from AI to green energy, they hold incredible potential. So we're left with a choice. Will we use these tools to build bridges or to build higher walls? The answer to that is up to us.